A courtroom frozen in disbelief. Every eye riveted as Sean Jay-Z Carter, a titan of hip-hop, strode unannounced to the stand not as a legend, but as a man confronting a storm of damning allegations. With Sean Diddy Combs' empire crumbling under the weight of freak-off scandals, Jay-Z's name was entangled in whispers of dark rooms and secret deals. His voice, steady yet searing, didn't just defend his legacy, it unleashed a reckoning exposing the shadowy underbelly of fame and power. What he revealed wasn't just testimony, it was a detonation that could redefine an era. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The courtroom had just settled after a long morning of legal back and forth. The prosecution was preparing to reintroduce evidence linked to Cassie Ventura's testimony. Diddy's lawyers shuffled papers half-bored and overly confident. That's when the doors opened, not quietly, not with warning, but deliberately. The way you walk into a room knowing the truth is finally about to catch up with the people who've been trying to outrun it. Jay-Z entered wearing a midnight navy suit tailored so sharply it might as well have been armor. He didn't look left, he didn't nod, no entourage, no Beyoncé, no Rock Nation team. Just him, a living legend stepping into a courtroom that hadn't expected to see him like this, not on the witness list, not under oath. Gasps filled the room. The gallery stood halfway in reflex. One journalist dropped her pen. Cassie Ventura, seated behind the prosecution, leaned in to whisper to her attorney. Even the judge raised her brow slightly. Diddy. He turned toward the entrance and didn't blink. His eyes locked onto Jay like he was watching a ghost he buried 20 years ago rise from the dirt. This wasn't planned, not by the press, not by the public. Jay-Z had requested a sealed session for his statement, but the court overruled it. Transparency. That was the ruling. And now Jay was about to give the performance of his life, not with lyrics, but with memory. He took the stand. He swore his oath. And the courtroom filled with federal prosecutors, entertainment journalists, and attorneys who once negotiated million-dollar deals at brunch tables leaned forward like they were listening to the first verse of a track they weren't supposed to hear. His voice was calm, controlled, but tight like a rope pulled in both directions. "I want to make it clear," he began. "I came here because silence ain't an option no more." And with that sentence, everything changed. Because when Sean Carter speaks, not the mogul, not the rapper, not the billionaire businessman, but the man behind it all, it's not just a testimony, it's a reckoning. Jay-Z didn't waste time. He didn't come with denial as his opening weapon, he came with context, and that was even more dangerous. Yes, I was invited to Diddy's events. Yes, I attended. But let me be clear, what I saw and what I was told were two very different realities. He said those words carefully, deliberately. His lawyers sat stiff. The defense looked confused. Was this helping them? Was he flipping? The answer would come slowly, piece by piece, as Jay-Z told the court something nobody expected. "I saw the setups, the NDAs, the confiscated phones, the back rooms with curtains. I never went in those rooms, I never signed those papers, but I knew," he paused, "I knew something wasn't right." That sentence broke the courtroom wide open because it wasn't just an admittance of being present, it was an admittance of witnessing the mechanics of the machine. Diddy allegedly built a machine that Cassie, Don Richard, and others had described in excruciating detail. Jay-Z turned toward the jury. "You see, in this industry there are parties, and then there are parties. And the ones I was at, the ones I started walking away from, those weren't parties anymore. They were systems-designed experiences, the kind that aren't about fun. They're about power-controlled." The prosecution asked, "Did you ever witness anything criminal?" Jay-Z hesitated. "No, not directly, but I saw enough to know I shouldn't be there." He described one event in 2015, a party in Miami supposedly for Christian Combs' birthday, where he says things got strange. "They had masks," he said, "like real masks. One man walked past me in leather with nothing but high heels on. People laughed. I didn't because I knew that man looked scared." Jay-Z said he left early that night. He said he called a driver and didn't wait for the scheduled car service. because I didn't want my name attached to whatever that was. Then the prosecution dropped the photo, a leaked image blurry, but authenticated of Jay-Z, Diddy, LeBron James, and Beyoncé in a room with a man in a latex mask kneeling on a velvet pillow. Jay-Z looked at it in silence. "I saw that moment, Yishune," he said. "I was told it was performance art. I didn't laugh. I didn't stay." He looked at Diddy. "You knew people trusted you. You used that." For the first time, Diddy's jaw dropped. Then came the part that turned Jay-Z's testimony from damage control to destruction. He told the court about a private conversation he had with Diddy in late 2018, just after whispers of investigations started circulating in the industry. According to Jay, Diddy called him to get ahead of something. He told me, "They're coming for me. Gotta be careful who you stand next to." Jay said he asked Diddy point blank, "Did you do anything I can't come back from?" And Diddy allegedly responded, "It's just parties, Jay, just experiences. Nobody gets hurt unless they want to." Jay's voice cracked slightly. That was the last real conversation we had. He looked at the courtroom. I stopped answering his calls after that. Jay said he began distancing himself, skipping Revolt events, pulling out of collaborations, even instructing Rock Nation reps to keep our brand away from whatever Puff's got going. Then the prosecution revealed something else, an email exchange between Jay-Z's legal counsel and an anonymous party from early 2020, in which Jay's team is warned that NDAs from past events might be weaponized against those who were present, even if they weren't involved. Jay nodded. I knew what that meant. They were going to use silence as a shield. I wasn't about to get caught behind it. He finished the third part of his testimony with a sentence that made headlines before the court even recessed. He used to be my brother, but now I see who he really was and who I almost became by standing too close. The room was silent and the fallout just beginning. As Jay-Z sat forward in the witness chair, his hands folded, his voice came out strong, but undeniably emotional. The courtroom had already been rattled by the allegations and rumors circling the trial. But now the weight shifted. Jay-Z wasn't just here as a celebrity being dragged into another scandal. He was a husband, a father, and a man defending everything he had built. I need to speak about my family. He began looking directly at the jury. Because when my name gets dragged, so does theirs. The room was silent. Jurors leaned in. Reporters stopped typing. Even Diddy, who had been scribbling notes on his legal pad for most of the morning, looked up. Jay-Z described the toll the accusations had taken on Beyoncé and their children. "Blue Ivy's old enough to read headlines now," he said. "She came to me asking what a freak-off was. That's not something a father should have to explain." He described how after the initial lawsuit named him reporters swarmed outside their home. Paparazzi camped outside Blue's school. Headlines blurred fact and fiction, turning his life into a tabloid war zone. He continued, "My wife has stood by me through everything but this. This was different. This wasn't business drama or career competition. This was a nuclear bomb dropped on our family, and the worst part? It was all based on a lie." He then turned to the specific claim that he and Beyoncé attended the alleged Miami freak-off in 2015. Jay-Z reached into a folder and pulled out flight records. "On the night in question, we were in Paris," he said. "It was our anniversary. We stayed at Hotel Plaza Athénée. I've included the hotel receipt photographs, video timestamps, and multiple eyewitness accounts. We weren't there." The prosecution reviewed the material. The judge asked the clerk to confirm the dates. Everything checked out. Jay-Z had receipts, literally, but he didn't stop there. He called out the culture of clickbait and unverified gossip that had allowed these rumors to thrive. "When did we stop demanding proof?" he asked the room. "When did accusation become conviction?" He emphasized that his reputation wasn't just his own. It was tied to his wife's, his children's, his entire legacy. "I've spent decades building something clean, something that lifts our community, and in a single headline that gets smeared with no evidence." Beyoncé was mentioned several times, but Jay-Z was careful he didn't lean on her fame or status. He spoke of her as a mother, a woman blindsided by allegations she had no part in. "I came here to defend truth," he said, "and to make sure no one, not even a billionaire, gets away with burying people in lies." Jay-Z's composure never cracked, but his voice took on a sharper edge as he addressed the next major claim, the infamous Miami party hosted at Gloria and Emilio Estefan's mansion, where he was allegedly seen by multiple witnesses during Diddy's alleged freak-off event. "I want to be very clear," Jay-Z began. "I have never in my entire life attended a party at Gloria Estefan's house, not in Miami, not anywhere." He unfolded several documents, a timeline of his activities from that week, supported by security detail logs, transportation manifests, and charity event programs. He walked the court through every hour of the date in question. "On the night of the alleged party, I was in Los Angeles. I was attending a charity dinner hosted by the Sean Carter Foundation at the Peterson Automotive Museum," he said. "Here's my speech transcript. Here's the guest list. Here's a photograph with the mayor." The evidence was irrefutable. The court clerk displayed a screen showing the security log of the museum, which captured Jay-Z's entrance and exit down to the minute. But the part that hit hardest wasn't the proof, it was the breakdown of how these rumors got started. Jay-Z called out the vague phrasing in lawsuits and the power of innuendo. "You don't need a lie to be loud," he said. "You just need it to be repeated." He explained that his name had been attached to these rumors not because of any witness, but because of a pattern of him attending Diddy's events in the past. "That's what this has come to. I once went to a brunch, so now I'm complicit in everything this man's accused of." He told the jury that the media narrative had spun wildly out of control. "They printed that I was seen in a place I've never been, and that one sentence turned into dozens of articles, thousands of tweets, and irreparable damage." Then Jay-Z's team submitted a report showing how many news outlets had repeated the same false claim. Not one reached out for comment. Not one tried to verify. As the judge acknowledged the validity of the records, Jay-Z looked toward the prosecution and said plainly, "If you're going to drag a man into a trial this big, you better have more than gossip and guesses." The final stretch of Jay-Z's testimony took a darker, surreal turn as he addressed the ocean of conspiracy theories that had swirled since Diddy's downfall began. He shook his head, glanced at the jury, and said, "I've been called a lot of things in this industry, but Illuminati puppet master, manipulator, murderer by association. That's a new one." He acknowledged the internet frenzy, how TikTok accounts had posted deep dives connecting him to everyone from Harvey Weinstein to R. Kelly to Jeffrey Epstein. "They say, where there's smoke, there's fire," he said. "But sometimes the smoke is just fog machines and YouTube edits." Jay-Z brought up specific accusations that he was involved in Aaliyah's death, that he helped orchestrate the deaths of Michael Jackson and Tupac, that he paid off people to stay silent about Diddy's freak-offs. "Not one of these has been backed by a single shred of evidence," he said, "but they get repeated because it sells." He then took out a printed Reddit thread, one with thousands of upvotes, speculating about his supposed inner circle with Beyoncé and Diddy. He held it up. "This is what passes for journalism now." Jay-Z explained how the theories had begun affecting real people. "I've had family members get followed, business partners backing out, even death threats, because someone on the internet connected dots that don't exist." But then he did something unexpected. He admitted that silence may have made it worse. "I didn't speak up sooner because I thought the truth would be obvious. But maybe I underestimated how fast lies travel when they come with good production value and ominous music." He ended his statement by saying, "I'm not asking you to like me. I'm asking you to listen, to think, to demand proof, because if we don't draw the line here today, then none of us are safe from what comes next." Jay-Z sat back, his testimony complete. In a courtroom where whispers had become headlines, his voice had just redrawn the battle lines. As Jay-Z stepped down from the witness stand, he adjusted his suit jacket, briefly glancing toward the gallery where Beyoncé was not seated, but her absence felt present in every stare. He exited through the side door, escorted by security, But the courtroom remained buzzing murmurs, headshakes, and gasps, some in disbelief, others in vindication. Reporters in the gallery exchanged frantic texts and notes. Social media was already erupting. Jay-Z breaks silence under oath. Jay-Z versus prosecution. Jay-Z defends Beyoncé and family from Diddy ties. There was no waiting for a verdict. The internet had already rendered one. But inside the room, something more complicated was unfolding. The jury remained unreadable. Juror 4, a middle-aged black woman in a beige pantsuit, scribbled steadily in her notepad. Juror 9. A young man with a military haircut stared at the empty witness chair long after Jay-Z had left it. And the alternate juror. He bit his pen cap in silence, eyebrows furrowed. One spectator, a former bad boy intern, was caught by the sketch artist wiping tears from her eyes. She told a reporter during recess, "He talked like he didn't know, but we saw him at those events. Maybe he didn't see what we saw, or maybe he just looked away." Cassie Ventura remained stone-faced, seated at her attorney's table. She didn't react during Jay-Z's testimony. But when his voice cracked mentioning Blue Ivy, she briefly looked up, not with empathy, more like a question. Was he protecting his family or protecting himself? Even Diddy, stoic throughout much of the trial, showed signs of twitching. He tapped his pen faster. His eyes scanned the room. Jay-Z's denials had hit him too, not as a betrayal, but as a signal. The ship was sinking, and everyone was trying to find a lifeboat. The judge called a short recess, and as the room emptied into the hallway, voices clashed. Some were Team Jay-Z. He showed receipts. He came clean. What more do you want? Others weren't buying it. He's just saving face. He's been part of the system forever. And in the middle stood the truth. Nobody really knew, but everybody had an opinion. Back at Roc Nation headquarters, the mood was tense. Jay-Z's team had released no official statement post-testimony. His attorney, Alex Spiro, offered only a brief quote outside the courthouse. Mr. Carter testified truthfully and courageously. We stand by his integrity. But the world wasn't waiting for legal summaries. Within 12 hours, every major outlet from TMZ to the New York Times had dissected his testimony. Some praised his transparency, others called it calculated damage control. Beyoncé's name trended globally for 36 hours straight. Her publicist declined to comment. Fans were divided, some fiercely defending her, others questioning how deep the couple's connection to Diddy really went. Meanwhile, the prosecution was regrouping. Jay-Z hadn't shattered their case, but he had complicated it. He had humanized himself, distanced his family, and redirected the spotlight. But in doing so, he raised another issue, the industry's pattern of plausible deniability. The DA's office released a quiet statement. While Mr. Carter's testimony was significant, our investigation remains ongoing and extends beyond any one individual. Translation: this isn't over. And then came the wild card, 50 Cent. Never one to stay quiet, he posted a photo of Jay-Z on the stand with the caption, "Nice performance, but we ain't forgot them brunches, my guy." It went viral instantly. In the days that followed, other celebrities began to reappear. Alicia Keys reposted a quote about truth cutting through silence. Questlove tweeted cryptic emojis. Even Oprah posted a vague story about building from ashes. Jay-Z's reputation had taken a hit, but it hadn't collapsed. His testimony, for better or worse, marked a moment where silence was no longer an option. And in a case full of twists, one truth was clear: the courtroom wasn't just trying Diddy, it was trying an entire era of power, proximity, and protection. Jay-Z had survived the stand, but the real trial, the trial of legacy, was just beginning. On May 22, 2025, artist Kid Cudi testified about the aftermath of his car being firebombed, which he believed Sean Combs coordinated because he briefly dated Cassie Ventura in 2011. Kid Cudi described Combs as a Marvel supervillain, recounting a meeting at a Los Angeles hotel where Combs stood gazing out the window with his hands behind his back. Cudi stated that Ventura confided in him that Combs would hit her, sometimes kick her. Prosecutors presented photos showing burn damage to Kid Cudi's convertible, allegedly caused by a Molotov cocktail. The trial also included testimony from Frederick Zemmour, the manager of L'Ermitage Beverly Hills, who noted that Combs used an alias and had a hotel profile indicating excessive oil use and spilled candle wax. Mila Morales, a makeup artist, testified about witnessing Combs assaulting Ventura in a hotel suite in 2010, corroborating earlier witnesses' accounts of Combs's violence toward women. During opening statements, Diddy's defense acknowledged his history of domestic violence and temper, but claimed that he is not guilty of sex trafficking or racketeering. His defense stated that the sexual conduct was consensual and not based on coercion. Cassie Ventura's testimony described incidents of rape and beatings, alleging that Combs was violent after discovering she was dating Kid Cudi. She testified to being given drugs and forced to engage in sexual acts, which prosecutors argue shows evidence of coercion. The fog of lies is clearing, and Jay-Z's resolute stand for truth has ignited a battle to reclaim honor from the ashes of scandal. Thank you for joining us in this quest for justice, amplifying voices that demand proof over gossip. Share your thoughts, leave a comment below, and tell us what struck you most in Jay-Z's electrifying testimony. Let's keep the call for truth ringing loud until every falsehood is swept away.